Realtree's Midwest Whitetail is brought to you by Cabela's, Cuddyback, America's Best Bowstrings, Drake Non-Typical, Easton Arrows, Frigid Forage, Fuse, Grizzly Coolers, Hoyt, Hoyman Tree Saws, Lone Wolf Tree Stands, Nikon, Ozonics, Redneck Blinds, RTP Outdoors, Spot Hog Releases, Wasp Archery, Viking Solutions, and Realtree.
Good morning. It's the morning of November 10th. Matt, Thede, and I are going to sit half a day today. This is day 3 of our rut ventures. We've been out 3 days in a row here and trying to get it done. Yesterday was very cold, had some snow on the ground, very blustery, but we did put eyes on one of our target deer, LT. Unfortunately, the situation was Matt rattled and he came in and got downwind of us. Had a hard time getting the camera on. I had to wrap the camera around my body to the right, and didn't expect for him to come in there. So unfortunately, we weren't able to, one, get very good footage of him, and two, get a shot. So, but it was great to lay eyes on him. Looks like a pretty good one. Where's he at? He's coming right down the tree line. What? I can't tell. Looks pretty good. Yeah. I'm gonna take him. Yep.
What?
Where'd you hit him? Go down, go down, go down. we just had a nice 8-pointer come through, and we elected to take him. I'm not sure what happened on the shot. It looks like it's a little low. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. I took my time. I thought I made a nice shot, but I think it was good left and right, just a little low. So he had blood running down his front leg. I could see it, but he walked off real slow. We're obviously going to give him some time here, but that's really disappointing. That was a chip shot of a. It was only 20 yards. I don't know what happened. Dang. It's 11 o'clock now. We're going to go ahead and pull out of here. We've got some things to do, and then come back later this afternoon and see if we can pick up the blood trail. My arrow is laying over there. We could see it. So anyways, not super thrilled that this is the way that the hunt went this morning. Either way, that's the situation we're in, and so we're going to pull down and see if we can try to recover him this afternoon. Well, here we are. It's 5:30, so that's been quite an afternoon for us. This morning I hit a buck a little bit low, and we decided to leave. We sat a little while longer, left, went back home. We're gonna get my pick up my trail over here and follow it as far as we can this evening. To be honest, I don't have high hopes. We kind of looked through some photos of anatomy and different things, and the last blood that we saw, it looked like lung blood, so a lot of bubbles and that in, but at best we're talking only hitting one lung, so I'm not sure if that's lethal or not, but we're gonna put in a good effort to see if we can find him, so that's what we're gonna do now.
Well, we've had it's been a rough one. So Caleb and I, you can just see from the last blood right here that there's just there's a big drop here right before it, and then we pretty much lost it. So we lost Caleb's deer, trailed it. We had one little speck every, I don't know what it was, probably 15, 20 yards, and we came to a fork in the road, and we just completely lost his. So we might have to try coming back in the morning. I'll come back tomorrow when there's light, but it just doesn't look really positive right now. So, well, it's the next morning here. Decided to get up. My wife and I said, she said, hey, go down and give it one more try here this morning. So it's tough tracking in the dark. Still below freezing, so the snow hasn't melted yet, but it's going to get above freezing, so I'm going to try it one more time here. Not optimistic. We lost last blood last night, so really small dots, but again, we were in the dark as well, so I'm hoping that we can find something here this morning. I'm by myself. Gonna leave the camera back and just go and focus on finding blood, and I'll report back and bring the camera what I find. So okay, well, as you can see, just tracked a long way, found some new blood, had a lot of hope when I found a new blood trail from last night. Obviously the light made a huge difference. Tracked it through some CRP. Man, guys, I just really, I don't know if there's a lesson here or not, but I was just praying every step of the way, and I don't want to say because I prayed I found a deer by any means, but God just reminded me of some things while I was tracking a deer that I just kept getting ahead. Every time I'd find good blood, I kept going ahead, and God just reminded me, you need me every step of the way. And every time I went back, I found new blood, really close to where I found it, and he made a couple circles in there and just took some really methodical tracking. And as you can see behind me, I tracked up a little bit ahead and found some, and then I looked over and he was laying right here. This is Caleb's deer, so Caleb's gonna drive down, and we're gonna get him taken care of, get some photos, get an interview with Caleb. But just really praising God right now for what he did here this morning. So thank the good Lord. Here you go.
Well, we've had a change in the story here. Matt decided to come back out this morning. Just wasn't satisfied with our blood trailing effort last night. So he ended up, his son had a basketball tournament over in Iowa City, so that's about 15 minutes away. So he buzzed down here and actually picked up the trail at a spot we just never thought the deer would have crossed this big ditch. And he picked it up on the other side and followed it out here through the neighbors and ended up finding the deer. So we got a little bit of a drag job to get him out here. So we're going to be definitely sweating by the end of this, but well worth it. So just thrilled that that's how the story ended and wasn't a to be continued type of story. So appreciate Matt's effort, man. That guy just so impressed with his drive and determination, and that's what led him back here to find the deer. And appreciate being able to hunt with my best friend and spend time with him, and just really encouraged by him. So we're gonna go put an end to this story and put our hands on that buck. So what are we gonna do? Tell him what we're gonna go do.
We're gonna go check out a deer.
Yeah. Who found the deer?
Our dad found the deer.
No.
Matt.
Matt did. That sounds good, man. Okay.
Caleb's hunt was a hunt that was pretty textbook for what we like to call the big oak tree. And I have a map in front of me. I'd like to go ahead and show you as to why that stand produces in early November, mid-November, and what makes it a great funnel spot for the rut. What you'll immediately see right here is that there's naturally a funnel spot between here and here. To the south we have corn and beans, and that's an ag field out here. And the deer like to come off this ag field, and this is all tree planting right here. And so the deer typically like to funnel down through here, or they like to cut over in this tree planting as well here, and they'll cut over and they'll follow those rows all the way down. And where our stand is located right here in one of these big oak trees right in here. And so what these deer like to do is like to come funnel down right here and like to cruise right in front of this stand. So there's doe bedding areas all the way on this side hill, and there's doe bedding areas right in here, and then there's also doe bedding areas all the way back in what we like to call the big timber. And so for the deer to get from one side of the farm to the other, they're going to travel there. Now what makes them stop right there is that there's a creek line that follows this right along here. And so we can hunt this with any west wind, any westerly facing wind, and that will forces those deer down around the corner. Also, there's a fence line here that we've hinged some trees in here that's kind of it's not necessarily impassable, but the deer hate to cross right there, so they have to come down and circle down in front of us. Occasionally they do cross the creek on either side of us, but for the most part, that's what makes this spot pretty good, is deer cruising from bedding to bedding, coming off of an ag field. They're forced down around a fence line that has been hinged, and they're prevented. They like to travel the creek line instead of crossing it on all directions. So essentially what we've done is taken a spot that can be found on any farm, and we've taken and we've isolated a certain area that the deer will travel through. We don't always see the greatest number of deer, but the deer that do walk through there are coming through at 17 yards and in range. And we know year after year from trail cam photos, if you're there on the right day, the bucks will definitely pass through. So hopefully this was helpful for you. Thanks for watching Outreach Outdoors on Midwest Whitetail.
Well, good morning. It's about 6:45 here, November 13th, and we're reaching a part in the rut that's peak breeding here. November 14th is, I think, the day when the most does are bred, and we're probably on lockdown at this point. Caleb and I had a really good couple days there on the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, somewhere in there. So 9th, 10th, 11th, and deer were really moving a lot, and some were on lockdown and some were still out chasing, but we're hoping to catch some of these deer cruising through this area. It's a funnel area called the shelf that we like to hunt, and it's really a pinch point in between both sides of the farm, and the deer like to cross through here. The does especially to go back to bed on the river bottom. I'm positive they're moving all over the place now, but at least the bucks will be cruising through to check those areas as more and more does get bred. So I'm hoping to get fortunate today
just to catch one of them, not on lockdown, or to catch one behind a doe. It's you got to be in the right area at this time of the year, and I think this area is probably as good as any of them. So Caleb's tagged out, and so that's pretty awesome that we found his deer. So looking forward to a good sit here today. I'm going to sit all day. I don't know if I'll sit in this spot all day, but certainly we'll be in this area for most of the morning until lunchtime. So, all right. Yeah, hopefully we get a chance to see something here today. Well, it's about 8:45, and so far I've seen a couple of small bucks cruising through this morning right at first light. A couple does fawn snuck up behind me, but just had a doe look like she was being followed, but nothing right behind her. Looked like she was in heat. So I'm not sure if anything else will come through her, but had a little breakfast and just gonna sit tight here and see what happens here the rest of the morning, and see if we can't get one cruising through here, following that doe, or just cruising through the funnel. So Merp. Merp. What a Brutus. Oh man, that buck is really old. And he's got nothing for a rack up top there, but holy smokes, what a Brutus. That doe came in and she was in heat, and she kept looking behind her, and I knew it was only a matter of time before a mature buck would be behind her. Certainly not a gigantic rack on that thing, but holy cow, what a brute of a buck. He came in, followed her right to the trail, and I'd never really seen that buck. But the more I looked at him, through the binoculars, and he was clearly had the body of a mature buck. And I keep telling myself, oh geez, you got to have something with big antlers on it, and that's just not the case. You don't have to have something with giant antlers on them, and just looking for something that's mature. And sometimes my pride gets in the way of having to have something that has big antlers on it, and thinking that every buck that has big antlers is mature, and that's just not the case either. So, he came in and stood there right where she went and kept going, and had to stop him here, but put one in the boiler room, and there was a lot of blood pumping out right away. So, I don't think I'll have to. He dropped right over there, so I don't think we're gonna have to go very far to get him. So this is the end of the Thede Mason journal for their bow season, the early bow season. We'll be back at it late season with the corn and getting after it. So I can't thank the landowner enough for allowing us to be out here. We are on borrowed property, and he is gracious to believe in the mission of Outreach Outdoors and what we're doing, and so he lets us hunt out here. And we've certainly had some good experiences out here along the way. Every once in a while, you're going to hear us talk about the shelf stand, and I have a map down in front of me, and I'd like to go ahead and walk you through why the shelf stand is a great stand for us as well. We've shot several deer in this location over the years, and we've noticed the deer trending in a pattern here as the direction that they walk, and there's a couple of reasons why that is so. So I'm going to go ahead and mark up this map and kind of show you why we hunt the shelf stand. So you can see with the shelf stand, our shelf stand is actually set up somewhere really close to right here. And here's for reference, here's our big oak tree that we talked about, the funnel. These deer will come off these ag fields, and then what they'll do is they'll travel down through here, and they'll follow this creek line. There's a creek line that likes to travel all right here, and it meets up with the English River. The English River comes along here. There's a ditch of it, and then it actually is a little bit further to the north. But these deer will go ahead and travel this river. And what they like to do is they like to go ahead and cross this creek. They like to cross this creek right in here. And what they'll do is they'll travel through here. And then they'll travel back in here, and back in here there's these little ditches, and that maybe fill up with water, but the high ground has like logs and everything, and the deer all like to bed back in here. And so these deer will travel this creek, and they'll go from bedding area here back to bedding area here, and they'll like to travel. And typically with the shelf stand, we like to sit here with a south-southeast wind, but every once in a while, if we have a north-northwest wind, we'll go ahead and sit on the opposite side of that trail. But these deer will come through here and cross right in front of us. Caleb and I have shot several deer here, and this is where I shot my deer here. I actually had a north-northwest wind, and the deer came just to the north of me, and I was able to shoot him before he got down on the trail too far. But that's the path that the does cross, and that you see the other bucks as they cross through here. But over the years, this is what we've learned, and that's what makes the shelf stand so valuable for us. So thanks for watching Outreach Outdoors and Midwest Whitetail. Hope you learned something here today.